If you are a woman over 60 and you wake up every morning with a belly that wasn't there 2 summers ago, even though you haven't changed how you eat, the answer is not what's on your dinner plate. It's 5 things you are swallowing every evening that pour a stress hormone into your blood right before bed. And the worst one is sitting in your kitchen right now, hiding inside a food most doctors call healthy. I am going to name all 5 before this video is done. I am also going to tell you the one thing that finally fixed it for the women in my practice who tried everything else and still couldn't shift the last stubborn pounds, because food alone gets you most of the way home. But after 60, there is one piece your body cannot make on its own anymore. My name is Jada Brown. I have been keeping the old wellness ways my mother and her mother brought up from the Caribbean for over 50 years. The kitchen cures, the morning tonics, the things Black women were doing long before the word wellness ended up on a fancy bottle. My mama used to say, all sickness starts in the belly, baby. Tend the belly, tend the woman. The laboratories finally caught up to her. They call it the gut-brain axis now. My mama just called it common sense. Here is the part nobody told you, and it is the most important sentence in this video. After 50, the timing of food matters more than the food itself. A slice of sourdough at noon is medicine. The same slice at 8 at night is a cortisol bomb that tells your body to store fat in your belly while you sleep. The food didn't change. The hour did. And once you understand that, half your battle is already won. Now, child, one of these 5 is going to surprise you. About 9 out of 10 women I talk to are eating it every single night, thinking it is the safe choice. The order matters too, because each one builds on the last. So stay with me to the end, because by the time we get to number 1, you are going to know exactly why your belly has been holding on for 10 years. Number 5 is roasted nuts from the can. The salted ones, the honey roasted ones, the trail mix you pour into a little bowl while you watch your evening shows. Nuts are good for you, child. Nobody is arguing that. But what they do to those nuts before they put them in the can is the problem. They roast them in seed oils at high heat, and the fat goes rancid before you ever crack the lid. Your body reads rancid fat the same way it reads a small injury. It sends out an alarm, and that alarm is cortisol. Here's the part specific to your age. After 50, your liver clears these oxidized fats about 38% slower than it did in your 30s. The cortisol stays elevated longer, and elevated cortisol at night tells your body to store fat in your midsection. That is not me being dramatic. That is what your body does when it thinks danger is near. My grandmother never bought a roasted nut in her life. She kept raw almonds in a jar and dropped a few in warm water for 10 minutes before she ate them. The European labs are now studying soaked almonds and finding lower inflammation in the women who eat them that way. My grandmother only would have laughed. The fix is simple. Soak raw almonds or walnuts for 15 minutes in warm water with a pinch of sea salt, drain them, eat a small handful with a slice of pear. The fiber slows the whole thing down. But baby, this next one is in your refrigerator right now, and it is doing something far worse to you while you sleep. Number 4 is your evening yogurt, the flavored kind. Strawberry, vanilla, peach. The little single-serve cups your daughter buys you at the warehouse store, thinking she is doing right by your bones. One small cup can carry up to 17 grams of added sugar, more than a glazed donut. And you are eating it at 8 at night. Here is what that does. The sugar shoots your blood sugar up, your pancreas pumps out insulin to bring it down, and around 2 or 3 in the morning, your blood sugar crashes. Your body panics, releases cortisol to wake the liver up, and that surge in the middle of the night is exactly when your body decides where to store fat tomorrow. After 60, the answer is almost always your belly. But here is the deeper layer most folks never hear, and you are going to want to remember this when we get to the end of the video. After 50, the helpful bacteria in your gut drop sharply, sometimes by half. The bacteria that used to break down sugar and calm inflammation while you slept simply are not there in the numbers they used to be. So when you eat that yogurt at 8, the few good bacteria you have left get overrun by the sugar, and the inflammation runs unchecked through the night. This is the missing piece almost nobody talks about, and it is going to come back around in a few minutes. For now, switch flavored yogurt for plain Greek yogurt with a half teaspoon of raw honey and a few blueberries. The protein and fat slow the sugar down, and you are not setting up that 2 in the morning crash. Speak to your doctor before changing anything if you are on diabetes medication, because plain yogurt may shift your numbers. Number three is your 3 o'clock coffee. The second cup, the late one, the one you tell yourself is helping you push through. Coffee is not the enemy. The morning cup my grandfather drank black on his porch was part of how those men lived to 90. The problem is what coffee does after 2 in the afternoon when you are over 50. Cortisol is supposed to ride a curve, high in the morning, dropping through the day, low at night. Your body uses that drop to release melatonin and start its overnight repair work, which includes burning belly fat. Caffeine after 2 o'clock flattens that curve. Your cortisol stays elevated into the evening. Your melatonin gets delayed by 90 minutes, and your body spends the night in a low alert state instead of repair state. After 60, your liver clears caffeine about 33% slower, so a cup at 3 is still in your blood at 10 at night. Switch to roasted dandelion root tea after 2 o'clock. It tastes like coffee, it has 0 caffeine, and it gently supports the liver doing its evening work. My grandmother kept dandelion root in a tin on the counter, and the European researchers are now publishing papers on what she steeped every afternoon for 60 years. They were a little late. Now I need to stop here because we have hit the moment in this video where I have to be honest with you about something. Everything I have just told you, the soaked almonds, the plain yogurt, the dandelion tea, all of it works. It is the foundation. My mother and grandmother lived past 85 doing exactly this, and the women in my practice get real results from these swaps alone. But for years, I watched a pattern that frustrated me. Women would do everything right. They would change the nuts, change the yogurt, change the coffee, move dinner earlier, and they would lose 4 or 5 inches around the middle. But there was always a stubborn final piece that would not budge, a bloat that came back, a sleep that never went deep, a belly that softened but never quite firmed. I spent 2 years trying to figure out why, because my grandmother's protocols were not failing, but something had changed between her generation and ours. And what I finally landed on was that 50% gut bacteria number I mentioned a moment ago. My grandmother's generation lost some bacteria with age, sure, but their food, their water, their lifestyle, all of it kept replenishing. Our generation has antibiotics in our food chain, chlorine in our water, processed food in our pantries from childhood. By the time a woman hits 60 today, her gut bacteria are not just declining, they are devastated. And here is the cruelty of it. Probiotics alone cannot fix it because probiotics need prebiotic fiber to feed on, and your body needs the postbiotic compounds those bacteria make in order to actually calm inflammation. Seed, soil, fruit, all 3. Take one without the others and you might as well save your money. I tried every probiotic on the shelf. Most of them are dead bacteria in a capsule. Some are live but starve in your stomach acid. None of them carry the postbiotics, the actual compounds that do the calming work, because postbiotics are hard to deliver and most companies do not bother. What I finally landed on, after testing on myself and on the women in my practice for over a year, is something called Buchbod. It is the only one I recommend, and I want to be clear about why. It is a kombucha gummy, not a pill, which my older folks deeply appreciate because nobody over 60 wants to swallow another capsule with their morning medications. It is the only formula I have found that carries all 3 pieces. Prebiotics to feed the bacteria, 2 clinically studied probiotic strains called Lactospore and postbiotics LM1004 that actually survive your stomach, and the postbiotic compounds your body needs to calm inflammation through the night. It also carries dandelion root and slippery elm, the same 2 roots my grandmother kept in her kitchen back in the islands, which is what convinced me this was the real thing and not another marketing bottle. Remember Beatrice, my client from Savannah? 73, retired librarian, 10 years of belly weight she could not shift. I am going to tell you the rest of her story now. We did all the food swaps for 14 weeks and her waist dropped 4 inches. She was thrilled. But by week 16, the loss stalled. There was a final layer of bloat around her midsection that would not move no matter what we tried. We added Buchbod to her morning routine. By week 20, the last 2.5 inches came off. Her fasting cortisol dropped 34%. She called me crying and said, "Jada, I have been waiting for those last inches for 10 years, and now I finally know why I needed both pieces." This is what I mean when I say food gets you most of the way home. But after 60, your body needs help making what it cannot produce on its own anymore. Over 30,000 women are using ButchBod now. The link is in the description below if you want to look. It comes with a 60-day guarantee, so if it does not work for your body, you send it back, no questions, no shipping fights. As I always say, speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you are on prescriptions. And if you are watching this in the next few days, the pricing on their website is running lower than I have seen it all year. I cannot promise that holds. If this video has helped you so far, hit subscribe right now. I share the old ways every week, and a whole lot of women tell me they thought they were subscribed and were not. 2 seconds cost you nothing. Now back to it because we have 2 more, and number 1 is the one nobody warned you about. Number 2 is eating dinner too late. This is the dinner habit that sounds responsible because you are at the table with your husband or your sister, but eating after 7:30 is one of the worst things a woman over 60 can do for her belly. Your digestive system follows the same daily clock as your cortisol. By 8 at night, your stomach acid is dropping, your insulin sensitivity is falling, and your body is preparing for repair, not for a plate of spaghetti. When you eat late, your blood sugar stays elevated through the first half of the night. That keeps insulin high, which blocks your body from burning fat and forces cortisol up to manage the spike. Women over 60 eating dinner after 8 had 36% higher overnight cortisol than women eating before 7. That is from a 5-year study out of California with 1,200 women. The labs are calling this chrononutrition. My mama just said, eat with the sun, child. Eat dinner before 7. Make it the smaller meal of the day, not the bigger one. If you need something later, sip warm bone broth with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. It satisfies, it does not spike anything, and it supports your gut lining while you sleep, which is exactly the work you are paying for if you are taking ButchBod alongside it. The two together is what my women see the fastest results from. Now take a breath because we have arrived at the most important one. Number 1 is bread at dinner. The dinner roll, the slice of sourdough, the toast with your evening soup, the pasta side that comes with the chicken. Refined wheat eaten in the evening is the master cortisol trigger for women over 60, and almost nobody talks about it. Refined wheat hits your bloodstream as fast as table sugar. After 50, with declining estrogen, your insulin response is already about 30% less efficient than it was in your 40s. So that piece of bread sends your blood sugar higher and keeps it there longer. The pancreas pumps out extra insulin, which drives glucose into fat storage, particularly around your middle, where estrogen used to keep things distributed. Then around 3 in the morning, the crash comes and cortisol surges to clean up the mess. Researchers in Texas followed 1,800 postmenopausal women for 6 years. The women eating refined wheat at dinner had 47% more abdominal fat than the women eating it at lunch. Same food, same amount, different time of day. Spanish researchers confirmed it again in 2021 with 2,200 women, finding overnight cortisol was 39% higher in evening bread eaters. The old women in Spanish villages have been eating their bread at lunch and their soup at dinner for centuries, and they are leaner at 70 than American women are at 50. If you want bread, eat it at lunch with butter and cheese. By dinner, the carbohydrates on your plate should come from roasted root vegetables, sweet potato, beets, carrots, winter squash. Pair them with olive oil or grass-fed butter and a palm-sized piece of clean protein. Your body will sleep deep and burn fat instead of storing it. So my people, hear me. This is not really about a slice of bread or a cup of yogurt. It is about the morning still ahead of you. The ones where you swing your legs over the side of the bed without that stiffness in your hip and the heaviness around your middle. It is about being the woman who walks her grandbaby down the front path next spring and the one who sits at her kitchen table on Sunday afternoon laughing with her sister without being too tired to enjoy it. Your body, even at 65, even at 75, even at 80, can still heal when you give it the right signals. It is never too late. Here is what I want you to do today. And only one thing. The food swaps will get you most of the way home. They are free, they are powerful, and you can start tonight. But if you have been fighting your belly for years and the food alone has not closed the gap, the missing piece is your gut bacteria. And ButchBod is the only formula I have found that carries all 3 pieces your body needs. The link is in the description below. It is backed by a 60-day guarantee. If it does not work for your body, you send it back. Simple as that. Take care of yourself, my people. The next morning is yours.